we're going to look at how we solve quadratic equations. And remember that solving means finding the value of the variable. So we're actually going to look for what x is equal to in these quadratics. And we're going to start by looking at these quadratic equations. And you'll see something similar about all of these, which is that they only have an x squared, right? There's no x squared and x. So really, this is about talking about when there's no bx. If we look at an equation that has both an x squared and an x, then we'll need to do something different, right? But we're going to save this kind of equation until later. So again, we're only looking at when things don't have a bx. So if we are going to look at how we solve when there's no bx, all we're going to do is follow SADMEP. We're not going to follow any different kind of process than what we've already been doing. The question is what do we want to get alone? X. What do we want to get rid of? The squared. What's the inverse of squaring? Square rooting. So we're going to square root the left side, and whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So what happens when you square root a square? Well, it disappears. It's the whole reason we're doing it. Be careful here. Alright, so we have the square root of 64, but we want to make sure that we're doing both the positive and the negative. So we have both positive and negative 8. Think about this, right? 8 squared is 64, but also negative 8 squared is also 64. So the next one, negative 3x squared is equal to negative 75, just has two steps. Right, so you need to get rid of the negative 3 and the x squared. You want to figure out which one's first. So as you go backwards through SADMEP, you're going to get to division and multiplication first. So we'll get rid of the negative 3 by dividing, because it's multiplication. We're left with x squared is equal to 25. Now we'll take the square root of both sides. And x, and don't forget, right, we're looking for both the positive and the negative roots, is positive and negative 5. Next one, we have 3 steps, right? So going backwards through SADMEP, we're going to get rid of all the addition and subtraction first. Right? This makes sense because we've seen it so many times. Then we'll get rid of the multiplication and division second.
John says boring.
John would be wrong because we all know how exciting this is. And then, right, we take the square root of both sides. We're looking for both the positive and the negative square root of 5. Now, we know that this is not going to be a rational number. It's not a perfect square, so we need to make sure that we do the approximate sign as we're doing this. It'll be both the positive and negative square root of 5, which is 2.24. To the last problem, same steps, subtract, divide, and we have x squared is equal to negative 1. Now at this point, right, we normally square root both sides, but in this case, right, we cannot take the square root of a negative number. So in this particular equation, you know, there is no solution. Okay, we're already at the practice problems, so try these 3 practice problems, stop it, do them, and come back. Good. Okay, first one. So, x squared minus 10 is equal to negative 6. Go ahead, SADMEP, add 10, both sides, and x squared is equal to 4. Now, be careful, right? Because at first glance, you might see the negative 6 and say, oh, can't do it because it's negative. But once we add the 10, it becomes positive. It becomes possible. Square root both sides. We need to remember to do both the positive and the negative. So x will equal positive negative 2. Okay, next problem. 3x squared plus 14 is equal to 23. So, order of operations, we'll take away 14. 3x squared, 9, divide by 3, got a little choral concert in the background. Loving it. So x squared is equal to 3. Square root that. Now, we do the plus and negative square root. Approximately 1.73. Remembering to do both positive and negative. Last one. We will subtract 10. We'll get negative 4x squared is equal to negative 9. Don't worry that it's negative again, because when we divide by negative 4, we're going to get a positive 9/4. I would stay away from decimals. Fractions here are going to be easier, because when we take the square root, we know that the square root of 9 and the square root of 4 are both possible. 3/2. And we want both positive and negative. Okay, that's it. Short one today.